Good morning and welcome. It's lovely to see everyone. This is going to be a great service. Come, whoever you are welcome here. No matter your age, your skin, your size, the color of your eyes, you are welcome here. No matter how you came here, if you came alone, if you came with others, you are welcome here. No matter whom you love or how you speak or whatever your abilities, you are welcome here. Whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears in your eyes, you are welcome here. If you come with an open mind, a loving heart, and willing hands, then you are indeed welcome here. Yay. Welcome. Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of New Orleans. We are one of 3 congregations in the greater New Orleans area. The other 2 are Community Church, Unitarian Universalist in the Lakeview neighborhood, and North Shore Unitarian Universalist in Lacombe, Louisiana. Together we are the Greater New Orleans Unitarian Universalists, or GNU. This congregation here has gathered in love since 1833. We seek wholeness and work for justice in the world. My name's Michael Martin, and my pronouns are he, him, and his. If you're a visitor and you have some courage, we invite you to raise your hand so that we can greet you. If you're doing live stream, please wave or say hello in the comments. We're happy you're here, visitor or not. We are a lay-led church. We're charged with the mission to offer joyful, mind-expanding worship services, provide opportunities for fellowship, and personal and spiritual development for children, youth, young adults, and adults, promote social change and inspire service to the larger community. On Sundays, we aspire to fulfill that mission by inviting UUA ministers, other religious professionals, and leaders from community organizations working for social justice, as well as our own members, to be voices of hope, courage, and spiritual or intellectual transformation from our pulpit. Providing that voice today is our own Barrett Smith. Welcome. If you would like to know more about programming for children and families, Katie Gelfand is our Director of Religious Exploration. She is the person to ask. The RE classes that we are on break for the summer. After the time for all ages, children and youth are welcome to spend the service in the nursery or here or at the all ages activity table that we have in the back of the sanctuary. All right. And now we have time for spotlight announcements.
Is it just me? Hi, I'm Edie Wolf. Many of you know me. I perform one of the most critical functions in this church and in any congregation. I make the coffee. And I'm looking for a couple of people that could learn the ropes, which are very easy if you've ever made a pot of coffee before, and come and, like once a month, shadow me, and then if I ever can't make it, you could take over. So if anybody here is willing to come, I get here at 10. Come at 10 once a month, a couple people, it would be great, and then I could call on you in an emergency. That's my whole announcement. Thanks.
As a reminder, we do have a special congregational meeting right after church service, and that will be held in the fellowship hall. So just head on over there, and we will have our special congregational meeting. Are there any other announcements? It is now time for our chalice lighting. The words can be found in your order of worship.
Please rise in body or spirit.
In these hard times, let us look first to the response of love. In the midst of challenge, may our chalice flame bear witness to the inherent worth and dignity of every human being. In the midst of uncertainty, may our chalice be a beacon of encouragement that our values may guide our choices. Let us look first to the response of love.
Please remain as you are and join in singing our opening hymn, number 346. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, that I might know your love. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Please be seated.
Please rise with me, and we could say the call to awareness and amends. It's listed in the back of your gray hymnal. I'll say the non-italicized words. If you would, please say the italicized. We gather today at a crossroads,
On land the Choctaw called Bobancha,
the place of many tongues.
a place we call home.
But we are newcomers to this land.
While native peoples are of this land. The Caddo and the Natchez, the Choctaw, Chitimacha, and Homa, the Tunica, the Luxie, Takapa Ishak, and more.
Know that we gather
On land that was stolen,
the spoils of colonialism and broken treaties.
of forced removal and genocide.
Acknowledging this history is just the first step.
We must set ourselves to the task of repair.
Where we have harmed,
We seek to heal.
where we have taken,
We seek to give.
where we have disparaged,
We seek to honor.
just as the flame of our chalice,
Lights our way to beloved community,
we add life-giving water to earth.
to recall the land's native roots and to nurture solidarity.
Only when we strive to make amends.
Do we affirm the inherent worth and dignity of each person.
Okay. All right. Traveling chalice, time for all ages. Okay. It is now time for the traveling chalice and the time for all ages.
Hello, can y'all hear me? Cool. Can I have my young and young at hearts join me up here? I see some folks in the back who are leaving me hanging, and I want you to come sit with me because I like you. Yes, yes, come. So we're gonna do an activity for this. I'm sorry if you hate activities, but I'm an educator, so if you didn't get one of these coming in, you can come up here and get one, or if you really don't want to, you can raise your hand and one of the greeters will bring you one. Do any of y'all need one of these? Do we have enough? Any more? Can you bring me more? Like three or four. All right, and then if you're seated out in the congregation, you should have gotten one coming in. Raise your hand if you didn't. There are crayons in the seats in front of you. And if you're in the front, there's a little bowl of crayons under the aisle person's seat. If you have neighbors, you can share with your neighbors. If you don't have neighbors, you can steal your neighbor's crayons so you can have more than one color. All right, so. Everybody good? And if you're up here, there's a little basket of crayons. Y'all can share. So, in a minute, I'm gonna ask you to think back to when you were a young person. And I'm gonna ask you some questions, and as you think about them, I want you to go ahead and start coloring in the little flame chalice that you have in front of you. Later on in the service, I'm gonna be asking you to trade this with somebody else. So color it with the love you would put into a gift. So, as you're coloring, think about when you were a young person. Can you remember a person who made you feel good about yourself? And if you're up here and you're young, you can just think about like now, or yesterday, or last year. Can you remember a person who made you feel good about yourself? Maybe a time when someone said something that made you feel worthy? A time when you felt dignity? Can anybody tell me what that felt like? Yeah. Felt good. Anyone else? It felt great. Supported, spectacular. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. How did that make you feel about going out into the world and living your life, doing your work?
A lot better, awesome.
A lot better, awesome. I heard something back there. Encouraging. More capable, inspired. Ooh, I love this. Anything else? Confident. All right. So, now that you've brought to mind what that felt like, take a little break from coloring. Flip your chalice over to the back. There should be a nice blank colored paper. I want you to write something. A reminder to the person who's going to be reading it of their worth, their dignity. So when they look at it, they too can feel that feeling. And then I'm going to have you hold on to them for now. You can finish coloring them during the service, channeling that feeling that we talked about into it, and after the sermon we'll exchange. I'll give y'all a few minutes to finish this up before moving on. Scott, I love those colors. Gorgeous. All right, I see people starting to finish up, so let's return to our seats. You can take the crayons with you, and you can keep coloring during the rest of the service if you have more inspiration to put into this. Thank you so much for coming up here and sitting with me. I love seeing all the colors in your chalices. All right, and now we're going to go into our time for meditation and prayer. I feel like watching y'all color was very meditative for me. I'll read this prayer and then we can keep meditating for a little bit. So this is a poem called Radical Gratitude Spell by Adrienne Marie Brown. You are a miracle walking. I greet you with wonder in a world which seeks to own. Your joy and your imagination, you have chosen to be free. Every day as a practice. I can never know the struggles you went through to get here, but I know you have swum upstream, and at times it has been lonely. I want you to know I honor the choices you made in solitude, and I honor the work you have done to belong. I honor your commitment to that which is larger than yourself and your journey, to love the particular container of life that is you. You are enough. Your work is enough. You are needed. Your work is sacred. You are here, and I am grateful.
Voice still and small, deep inside all, I hear you call, singing in dark and rain, sorrow and pain, still you remain, singing, calming my fears, quenching my tears, through all the years, singing.
Please join me in speaking the responsive reading. This can be found in your gray hymnal on page 568. Please stand as if you're willing and able. Connections are made slowly. Sometimes they grow underground. More than half a tree is spread out in the soil under your feet. Fight persistently as the creeper that brings down the tree. Gnaw in the dark and use the sun to make sugar. Live a life that you can endure. Make love that is loving. Live as if you like yourself, and it may happen. This is how we are going to live for a long time, not always. Now time for the sermon, The Call to Dignity.
Hi again. Can y'all hear me in the back? All right. What about now? Yeah? Okay. So, I'm Barrett. Y'all don't know me. I'm a writer. Right now I'm working on an essay about queer girlhood. So, in this essay, there's a scene where I'm shopping for my high school graduation dress with my mother. If anyone here was once a queer girl, you might already imagine that this, dresses, mothers, was a painful experience. But as I was writing, it occurred to me how many hours of that pain could have been spared if Mama Hollis, the dean who was in charge of graduation, had said yes when I asked her if I could wear white pants to graduation. See, there was an assembly where they announced all the girls would wear white gowns with white dresses, and all the boys would wear black gowns with suits. So I went up to her after the assembly, and I put aside all my dismay that we were still doing the gendered segregation thing. I had been arguing with her about that for 4 years. And all I wanted now was to wear pants, and I pleaded with her to let me wear white pants. I had the whole vision in my mind: white skinny jeans, flowy white blouse, white blazer. Gorgeous. No, she said, absolutely not. It would look stupid to have pants sticking out under the gown. The boys have pants sticking out under their gowns. It would disrupt the whole flow of the ceremony. I get it. It was easier for her to tell me no and stick to the plan that had already been made, that had been executed flawlessly for decades. But she couldn't see how much harder that was for me. She couldn't see the ripples of pain caused by the thing that just seemed easier for everyone. As adults, how often do we neglect the dignity of young people without even realizing it? When we're given a chance to fuel the flame of their hearts. As adults, when we're working with young people, and I dare say when we're interacting with people of any age, the moments that are routine to us can create ripples that shake the foundations of people's lives. And that can be heartbreaking, terrifying, but it can also be hopeful, because our love has ripple effects too. When we honor people's inherent worthiness, people's dignity, that can also shake and begin to crack at the foundations of injustice and destitution that all of our lives are built on. I read a study from the Trevor Project that said that LGBTQ youth who report having at least one accepting adult were 40% less likely to report a suicide attempt in the last year. So all it takes is one adult honoring a child's dignity to save their life. So what does that mean for us as a people of faith who worship the sacredness of life and of dignity? What does it mean for us as a social justice faith? And what does it mean for us as individuals, as people who are so often trying to do everything and save everyone? Sometimes I get so overwhelmed by all of the attacks that are coming at us: climate crisis, recession, financial crises at home, at church, overturning Roe, a city council meeting and 2 different legislative committees stealing different rights at the same time, all in the middle of a workday, a Christmas tree shortage. Don't you sometimes feel like there's just so much work to be done? And how the hell are we going to do it? There are some days where all I can do is show up. And in that showing up, be sure to honor the dignity of the people and places around me. And maybe if that daily work, that daily honoring creates a ripple that fortifies the foundation of one life, maybe that's enough. This sermon today is to ask you to have faith in that dignity being enough, because it doesn't always feel like it is. But our faith asks us to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person, which I take to mean each person. Each singular person is an embodiment of the spirit of life, the flame of our chalice, the divine, an important piece of our web of community. And if we believe that, then we cannot move in alignment with our faith when we doubt that any work that shakes the foundation of one life, affirms the dignity of one person, and possibly even saves a life is as important as the work that serves this entire room. In a reflection on the first principle, UU minister Reverend Dr. Rebecca Ann Parker cites the great 20th century Rabbi Abraham Herschel, who wrote, "Just to be is a blessing, just to live is holy." It is so often that we forget that. And that is no mistake, it is by design. It is an intentional design of white supremacy culture that we are taught to always do more, reach more people, do bigger work, rather than focusing on how we're showing up for the people we are already in community with. In 1999, writer Tima Okun wrote an article identifying the characteristics of white supremacy culture. One of these she names as "progress is more" and "quantity over quality." She says this shows up as organizations trying to do more, quote, without an ability to value processes, relationships, for example, including cost to the human and natural environment, as well as little or no understanding that when there is conflict between content, for example, the agenda of the meeting, and process, people's need to be heard or engaged, process will prevail. I've seen this quantity over quality thing show up working in the nonprofit world. The easiest way to get funding is to have numbers to report on. How many people are you serving? How many programs are you running? Show us the quantifiable work that you do. But you can't quantify the quality of your work, the relationships you build, the affirmation of someone's dignity. I encourage all of you to dig deeper into this entire article, but for now I'll read a few of the antidotes Okun suggests to this characteristic. Make sure that your goals speak to how you want to do your work, not just what you want to do. Learn to recognize those times when you need to go off the planned agenda in order to address people's underlying concerns with the knowledge that doing so will result in a more solid product in the long term. Distinguish between growth, which is necessary and organic, and the conditioned desire for more stuff, more transactional power, more people, more for its own sake. I've been told time and time again since I got here, we're a small church who thinks we're a big church. Or we're a small church, but we want to do so much. And I've seen how much we all want to do, both as a church and as individuals. And don't get me wrong, I do not condemn us for it. I am the same way. Because I know our work is so important. And I want us to be reaching everyone who needs it. But when we only focus on doing more, we lose sight of doing right by the people who are here. And as the material needs of the church continue to overwhelm us, I hope we can remember the spiritual needs of our community, to honor each other's dignity in every interaction, to honor our own, and to know that we do not need to do everything to be enough. Okay, but what if showing up and treating each other with dignity is actually not enough? What about all the stuff that needs to get done? Who's gonna do it if I don't? And what about the Trevor Project study? Even if that one kid survives, what about all the kids who don't have a supportive adult? What about all the kids we can't reach in rural towns or otherwise? What about all the kids who will attempt today? We're not doing enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. You're right. It's not. The powers of systemic oppression are so pervasive. The United States colonial machine is so powerful. But our work, the work of the people, is sacred. Our hope is sacred. We need each other to bring a rose in the wintertime, to bring hope when hope is hard to find. They want us to be overwhelmed. They don't want us to give ourselves grace. I came up in an arts high school in DC, and the thing about a pre-professional breeding ground for artists is that your worth becomes so tied to your talent, and even more so to how much you produce and how well you produce. And even as progressives, we don't question it, because it's not production for capitalism, it's production for art. Sometimes it's even challenging the system. But I still didn't see my worthiness as inherent. I came out of that school thinking I had to do everything to be enough. I was gonna be Secretary of Education, and also the next Arundhati Roy, and also a chemist. I was going to change the world. And then I got to college, and I was tired. I just wanted to learn, and to nap, and to sometimes hold babies. And in that space of burnout, I wasn't able to believe in my worth, or in the worth of anyone around me. Even though I was a UU, even though I was a burgeoning anti-capitalist, I had internalized that my worthiness was tied to my talent and to my work, and because I didn't feel inspired to work on anything meaningful, I was definitely worthless. And that showed up in the ways I showed up for myself. And eventually I started aspiring to things again, getting inspired again, but I don't think I rekindled that flame of self-worth until lockdown forced me to give up on all those plans and realize, or really remember, that the only work I do, the only work that matters, is seeing people and honoring their dignity. So what does that look like? When I told my dad I was writing this, he said, "But supporting someone isn't that easy." And he told me this story about a teenager he met, and he helped this kid fix up his bike. And my dad told me, I didn't have the time or energy to be a father figure to him or whatever it was he needed. See, we get caught up in this idea that we have to be everything for everybody, but that isn't realistic. And frankly, it isn't healthy for anybody involved. And I know it's so hard not to feel like we have to do that. It's the lie that capitalism tells us, it's the value of martyrdom that the religious roots of our country teach us, but we can choose not to believe it, not to sacrifice ourselves, not to do everything. We already are enough. We already are worthy. And when we believe that about ourselves, we can believe that about each other, about our kids, about our community. That's what has a ripple effect. I saw this TikTok where this person said, the way we treat ourselves is the way we treat the collective, because the way we treat ourselves is the standard that we set for how we think it's acceptable to treat people. So if you're telling yourself, I'm not enough, I'm not worthy because I'm not doing enough, not only are we continuing to feed the capitalist lie that our worthiness is tied to our productivity, is based on our output, but also the more we believe that about ourselves, the more we allow ourselves to believe that about others. So then how can we show up in a way that is leading in love? How can we begin to honor the dignity of others? How can we begin to cultivate the fire of worthiness within our communities? We cannot do that if we don't first begin to let go of these lies. My dad didn't realize he'd already taught me the answers to his questions. On my first day of high school, the school was in DC, and we lived in the suburbs, so my dad had to show me how to take the metro to school. And on the walks to and from the station, we would see various panhandlers, and on that first day, he gave me a $20 bill and sent me into Starbucks, and he said, get a Frappuccino and bring back some change. And he told me, always carry dollar bills, always give $1 to the first person who asks, no matter who it is. And then acknowledge and apologize to everyone else. You never give more than once, and you never get to judge who is worthy of receiving. This man, who only ever came to church like once a year, taught me such a valuable lesson about living our UU values. You can't do everything for everyone, but everyone is worthy. What you can do is show up, be consistent, and honor people's dignity. When we show up consistently in our values, we don't have to judge ourselves for not being able to do it all. We do the work that we can do. This is not a call to let yourself off the hook, but rather a call to slow down, believe that you are enough, that just to live is holy. Do this enough that in your interactions, you can slow down and ask, am I honoring this person's dignity? Am I honoring my own? This is the glue that will hold our community together and give our work meaning. So, I told you I would ask you to give your flame to somebody. But first, surprise, surprise, it's a sticker. So, take it out. And there's a little tab. I don't have like an example one up here, but there's a little tab on the top left. Peel the sticker off the backing. Make sure that you're peeling the sticky part off and not the colored paper. And if it's hard, I'm sorry, but you can do hard things. I believe in you. All right, so if you've got that, you should have one side with colored paper that you wrote an affirmation on, and one side with your colorful flame. All right, I tricked you. I feel like some of y'all saw this coming, maybe not. The affirmation you wrote on the back, you're gonna keep it for yourself. It is a gift to yourself. Then, in a minute, I'm gonna ask you to get up, find somebody, and stick your flame onto their words for them to keep. The beauty of your flame is the gift you're giving them, the gift you give this community. So now, if you're willing and able, please stand, move around, find somebody to share with. And if you are getting up, keep an eye out for our friends who are staying seated and go find them, share with them.
It is now time for our offering. And so our greeters will be passing around the plate. Generosity is a spiritual discipline. We can now practice our act of giving either by placing your offering in the collection plate or by texting GIVE to 504-608-7030. All right. This gift from the abundance of my life blesses me, our ministries, and the world. Please join me by saying the chalice extinguishing. Please rise as if you're willing and able. It can be found in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry on our hearts until we are together again.
Please remain risen and join in singing our scription. The lyrics are printed in your order of worship. May I who live be true unto my being, one in my thoughts, my words, and every deed. I was born free, an ever-changing river is what I am, and neighbor, so are you. We have the power through laughter, love, and tears to face all fears and live forever free.
May you find comfort in the words you wrote, your words. May they convince you of your worthiness. May you use your light to illuminate the dignity of everyone around you. May you let the flame of your communities warm any doubts that you are indeed enough. Now, I don't have the script for this, but we're the strangers church because we like to talk to each other and welcome each other. So please turn and greet your neighbors. Beverly will be in the fellowship hall.